What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to give my honest thoughts into Gotham Knights. Now, this is very much brought on by yesterday's video, okay? The very mixed reaction, which I knew, I was going to get it. I was hoping that it wouldn't happen, but of course, I did expect something like that could happen. Now, what I want to say in this video is I want to talk about just the entire thing, what we've seen so far, what we've heard so far in the interviews, and kind of try to really make it clear where I stand on this game. Is I feel like a lot of people are taking it and running into different directions. Now, I get people that are brand new to the channel that maybe have just seen yesterday's video and they say, oh, this guy's Mr. Negative. But then people that have been with me for a while, I really do think should kind of know where I stand on this. But in case you don't, or in case, I haven't made it clear or I've confused you, which is okay and it's fair, I do want to address in this video. I'm in support of this game. I've said that before. I don't know why that's something so surprising. I'm in support of this game. I like the idea that we're playing as the Bat family. Am I disappointed that Batman was dead? I mean, I was caught off guard, but I have said since the beginning, I still stand by this. I'm okay with a Bat family story. I think it's going to be really cool to play as these four characters. I want more stories outside of Batman. In fact, we've talked about in the past, how do we get all of these different kind of single-player stories, or how do we get games that focus on these different characters? Well, you have to make them, and in order to make them, you can't continue, you know what I mean? You can't have a world where you have an Arkham game every 2-3 years, but you're also expecting them to make a Wonder Woman, a Flash, an Aquaman. Pick your, Justice League member, right? You can't have that. So, I do definitely, I was caught off guard, and I don't think he's actually dead, or I don't think he's not going to be in the game. Let's say that, because he could be dead, but maybe the Court of Owls brings him back. But I'm okay with the fact that he's not playable, okay? If I went through the entire game and he's not playable, Batman, that's fine. That's their vision. They told us that. Now, whether or not they're lying about it, that's to be determined, but that's their vision, and I'm going to absolutely respect that. Just as I've said, I'm willing to give all these things a chance. Just because I don't like something doesn't mean I'm not going to give it a chance. And again, this is not something that I don't like. Okay, the fighting, I think, is different. I think I have warmed up to it a little bit after, day one. Day one, when I saw the fighting, I was like, nah, this is not exactly what I want. I've said it before. My main criticism is the levels above the people's heads, is the life bar that they have, is, I guess you could say, you have to actually hit them multiple times for them to go down, which I guess you do in the Arkham games. It's just there's no life bar, right? The experience that you constantly are getting every single time you do something, the gear, stuff like that, and not even just those things on the surface level. It's honestly where you can take those things. We don't have all that much information, so I guess it's fair if you want to say, okay, well, Alex, stop hampering on it, and I will agree to that, because there's a lot of stuff I do want to talk about in this video. I do want to address the criticisms, the attacks that I've gotten. I don't think they're all very fair, but we'll get to that later. But the day-night cycle. Am I disappointed you can't literally play during the day? Yeah, a little bit, but at the same time, I understand that. Well, what exactly are you gonna do? You're gonna be just wheeling around Gotham, as Barbara Gordon. It doesn't really make that much sense. Look, the interviews we had from GameSpot, from IGN, there were a lot of positive things. The no game as a service thing is awesome, right? Because people were now, I had hoped that just was never going to happen, okay? But I know people were very worried about it, and them confirming that it's not that is awesome. Them confirming that there's citizens, and then they're going to move out of the way of you, like you're going to try, the AI is smart enough to not get in your way. Look, we can go down the line, and I read all of the questions from IGN. I didn't read all the ones from GameSpot, but there were so many positives. I think at a core, the game is going to be pretty darn solid. So, again, I don't know what else I have to say. I'm in support of this game. I'm getting this game day one. If you guys didn't know, I've supported the game for a long time. I've made more Batman videos. I get it. It's not Batman Gotham Knights. It's just Gotham Knights. But I've talked about this game. I get people have done it longer, years than me, but I've done it more than anybody, simply because I've just made so many videos over the past year. So to say that I'm not in support of it, or I'm just being negative, you clearly just haven't been paying attention or been watching the channel. I have talked so many positives about this game, and I'm going to continue to. By the way, I am pumped for this game. Now, here's what I want to say, and I want to address yesterday's video. The thing I said that created such an uproar, okay? If I was huge, I'd have like a subreddit talking about it, okay? But I don't. Luckily for me, I don't have that. I talked about how playing as two of the same characters is game breaking. Now, I said game breaking in the title. I probably shouldn't have said that. I'm sorry, okay? I will own up to that. More like immersion breaking, and I did say that in the video, okay? I guess not. Like, it's not literally I'm going to pop in the game, two Batgirls are going to appear, and then the game is going to crash, okay? It will not literally break my game. That's not how I meant it in the first place. But I feel like it would be immersion breaking. Now, a couple things. I saw everybody saying, like, hey, you don't have to do it. It's okay. I agree with that. I understand that. I understand that you can play this whole game single player, which again I know was on people's minds. Like, do you have to play co-op? Is this going to be a big deal? And they said the world is built, like, and you could play it just as single player, and you're gonna have a fantastic experience. So again, another positive. What I noted, and what I think you have to kind of pay attention to is, again, there's a lot of positives, but there's also honestly some scary things woven into these conversations, these interviews with, again, IGN GameSpot. So my thing was the two playable characters. You guys had said, okay, you don't have to play as them. You just play alone, or if you're going to play with somebody, make sure you're playing as two characters. Okay, I want to go to the interview on GameSpot, and I want to talk about exactly what I meant, because these two answers to these questions is my concern, and this is what I was getting at yesterday. So let me read this. Let me see if you guys, follow it through or like agree with what I'm saying, and then I'll kind of go over what I think, okay? Can you clarify how the story part of that works? Does each character have their own story happening, or is it like different perspectives on the same story? Yeah, I think the story is the same. You will get some nuances, of course, because some characters have special relationships with certain people in Gotham City, but the overall story is the same whoever you're playing. So if I start the game as Batgirl and then replay it as Nightwing, they generally will be on the same path, but with minor nuances to it. Yeah, I mean, when you get into a major narrative beat, the person you're talking to, for example, like if you're speaking to a villain, their history with your character is often going to be reflected in the kind of dialogue. So even if the overall structure of the story remains consistent and becomes something you can dip into and out of with different characters, it's how you want to play it. There's nuance. There's moments of nuance and relationships in particular that's reflected. All right. Did you catch that? Now, again, is there positives? Yes. Can you take positives in? Oh, I could play the whole game just as Batgirl, and then I could play the whole game just as Nightwing if I wanted to. Or I could play some as Batgirl, switch to Nightwing, and everything's going to still stay relatively the same. Can you take positives from that? Yes. But let me tell you something. This is what I'm talking about. Now, if you don't agree, again, this is not me hating on the entire game. In fact, this is me hating on one specific aspect, but it is the story. It's the narrative. It's how the story is told. And again, I don't even consider myself hating on it. I am talking about, I think, a valid criticism. What she's saying is that there really isn't going to be that much immersion. Look, again, in these Batman Arkham games, and I'm not saying I want an Arkham game. I feel like people are going to get confused. In these games in the past, when you're playing as Batman, you are going through a story just as him. Okay, so it's a succinct, narrative-driven story where you know who you are, the villains know who you are, and you're going through it. Okay, does that make sense? I think you got to get what I'm saying with that in order to hear me out here. With this game, it's not like that. Now, I guess you could say, like with Assassin's Creed, do I have an issue with Assassin's Creed? Because you could play as like a male or female, and the characters will roughly treat you the same. Now, I would argue that Assassin's Creed does it kind of better, where, they will treat you, like if you're playing as a male version or a female version, you're going to get a lot of the same dialogue, like pretending as if you literally are the same person. Now, is that game breaking, quote unquote? Is that narrative immersion breaking? I guess if I say no, would I be hypocritical? That's the question I'm asking you. For these Batman games, or right now Gotham Knights, it's maybe because I'm so engrossed in what the Arkham games have done in the past that I want that for right now. Does that make sense to you? Okay? So when I'm talking about these characters being the same and the dialogue is going to probably be weird, not even weird, it's just not going to feel personal, okay? And people said, well, you don't have to play as two of the same Batgirls. But look at what they just said. If I play this whole game as Batgirl and then I play it as Nightwing, I'm experiencing the exact same story, but there'll be some times where maybe a villain, like if it's Batgirl, maybe Joker will reference something, you know what I mean, in regards to her, because he's Joker and she's Batgirl. But overall, the game is going to be the same. Now, again, can you take positives? Can you say that, well, I want the game to be the same. I don't want, 5 different stories or 4 different stories for 4 different characters, right? So again, I get that. All I'm saying is I feel like there is, and I don't even think the immersion maybe is completely broken, but I would say, and I think it's fair to say, that immersion in this story narrative game is going to take a hit. And if you don't agree with that, firstly, that's okay. But secondly, I think it's fair that I think that. I really and I know, I get it. I spent 5 minutes talking about it, and people are going to call me out. People will say I'm milking it. I mean, come on, like find another complaint to complain to me about, okay? I make these videos as long as I feel like it. I talk as much as I talk, and the video's length is just what the video's length is. I can make a 30-minute video on Batman if I wanted to, okay? And would that be wrong too? I don't know. Look, there's so many positives, and I get it. Well, Alex, why'd you spend half the time talking about the positives but the other half talking about one negative? It's because, I'm into the negative. You know what I mean? And negatives are fun. Negatives are something, this is something that I think it really, speaks to me in a negative way, and I want to address it. But it's okay if you guys don't agree, okay? So hopefully this entire video has made you at least see where I'm coming from. We don't have to agree. We don't have to be on the exact same page, okay? We don't have to agree on every single thing. The point is, to say that I don't like this game or I hate this game or I've never been supportive of it is a joke, because you could watch videos, you could watch half of videos, and you'll see nothing but positives, okay? Now, are there a couple main weaknesses? Yes. And do I feel like I want to address them longer than the positives? Yes, that's my choice. I mean, ultimately, that's my choice, okay? I do think there are major issues or concerns, because I get if I say issues, they'll say, well, the game's not out yet, so you can't have issues. There's concerns I have with this game, and I think that's fair, and I don't know. I really don't know any other way of saying it. I think I'm okay to have these concerns, to have these issues with it, but I don't want people to get, confused in that, well, Alex just hates the game or he's never said anything positive. I mean, those people just don't pay attention, okay? So going forward, let me be clear about this. Going forward, I'm not just going to love this game just because it's Gotham Knights, just because it's Batman, just because I've covered it, just because I have, and that's, I think, important to note. Just because I have a community that's decent sized, okay, about this game, doesn't mean I should be afraid, okay, to criticize it. I should be allowed to. So you're not always going to get positive videos. You're not always going to have me talking nonstop love about this game, okay? I am going to call it out when I feel like it's a legit thing. You don't have to agree with it. That's the point of being a human. You don't have to have the same criticisms as me, okay? I think I've talked a lot slower in this video than normal, so I think that's actually a good step in the right direction as well. But, I just wanted to throw this together. I saw a lot of things that honestly hurt me yesterday. You could say, well, maybe you're letting it get to you too much. I don't know. Just people, look, you get the same things. Milking it, making the videos too long, focusing on one thing. Like, you'll always get that. But the people, that have said that they've been with me for a while, that have said, like, I've just gone too far, or, whatever they're saying, I think that's ridiculous. I really do. I think that I've always been pretty fair to it. I mean, if it's not clear I'm getting the game day one, I'll probably buy whatever super deluxe editions. Do I have to give them money, Warner Bros. Montreal money, to prove that I'm a fan? Like, I think you can be a fan. Kind of goes back to any fandom, like even Star Wars, you see with the sequel trilogies. Like, if you didn't like them, does that mean suddenly you're a troll or you're not a fan of Star Wars? No, you can absolutely you could hate almost every movie, but love Star Wars. You could do that, and you could do that with video games too. So, wanted to throw this together. Want to definitely hear your guys' thoughts in the comments below. Did I kind of clear it up for you? Did I change maybe your line of thinking about me? Whatever you guys want to talk about, let me know in the comments below. More videos, consistently on Gotham Knights. I know I said I was going to take today off, but because of yesterday, I wanted to throw this video together. So probably every other day starting right now, so probably Sunday, we'll talk about this game, different aspects about it, and then once more news like this kind of stuff comes out, leaks, things like that, I'll be covering it as well, okay? Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.